You're listening to Over the Oxer podcast with Tracy Cole for all things to do with the mind for equestrians. Hello and welcome to this episode. Just before I get started on today's topic, which is about confidence changes as we get older, I just want to say, because I know I'll forget, because I am getting older myself, that I have a half-day workshop, an NLP workshop just for equestrians on the 19th of March. That's a Thursday. Recordings will be available. It's 10 till 1 and it's all about mental anchors. So I'll put the link in the description box. You're very welcome to email me for more information, but I would love to see you there. So today's episode is all about when your brain starts thinking more about paying the mortgage and looking after other people than it does about riding. So because there comes this moment, if you like, in riding and in aging, when you suddenly realise that you're not as reckless as you used to be. So for some people, this is going to come when you're 20 years old. And for other people, it's going to come when you're 40 or 50 or 60 years old. You suddenly realise you're not as fearless as you used to be. You might not even be casually brave. You feel like you're more employed in a job, or that you have people who rely on you. You might have children, you might become a carer, you may have joints that send you emails on a regular basis to tell you that they don't bounce. And suddenly you find that your confidence is sort of slipping away. And you look back and you think to yourself, well, I used to be able to do that. I used to go on any horse across open fields, used to jump any height. You know, I'd gallop any horse, I'd do anything on a horse. And so I suppose what I want to say straight away is that actually your confidence hasn't disappeared, because it's still there. It's still on recall. You could redial, if you like, but your brain has updated your job description. And that's all that's happened. So somewhere along the way, riders absorb a quiet belief that your confidence should either stay the same and be really stable, or that because you've got more experience and more knowledge, more ability, hopefully you've developed some skills, that you should have soaring confidence. So the older you get, the more confident you get. So they think that if you were brave at, say, 15, 16, 20 years old, you should be brave forever. If you jumped 4'6" or 5 foot or any 5-bar gates or anything at all at 20, you should still be doing it at 50. And there's this kind of unconscious belief. For some people it's conscious, but sometimes it's just underlying that if you're not doing those things, there must be something wrong. But confidence in terms of riding isn't a trait, it's not a personality trait, it's very context dependent, and so it can ebb and flow as it's supposed to do. Our nervous system is supposed to respond to the differences in life, and that's what's happened. So at 18, let's say, if you fell off, it was a bit embarrassing, you might have a couple of bruises, but it was a bit of a laugh and you got back on. But maybe at 50 or 50 plus, or maybe 40, or whatever age it is that is your trigger, then falling off might mean time off work. It might mean that you've got terrible childcare logistics now. You might have to rehab yourself. It could mean explaining yourself and explaining the fall to different sets of people and almost doing it defensively. And your brain notices this. And your brain will notice, even if you haven't actually had a fall and haven't had to do all of those things, but you've thought about it, and your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. So it already thinks you've been through this. And so your brain adjusts its thinking, and that's what it's designed to do. It is designed to help you in the context that it finds itself in. So that's not a weakness. That's an intelligence of the brain. So what's actually happening to the brain, if we just talk a little bit about the psychology, is that once we have that responsibility, the brain's threat filter starts to widen. So once you become a parent or a carer, or even if you're on your own, but it's you that pays the mortgage and it's you that pays the bills, then that responsibility starts to widen up that brain filter. And it's not because you've lost confidence, and it's not because you're suddenly anxious. It's it's because your brain has started to be predictive, which is what brains do. They predict from moment to moment in order to give us some familiarity, enable us to adjust, and enable us to cruise through life more easily. So your brain knows how long it takes for a certain injury to heal. It knows what the cost would be to be off work. It knows what it means to not be able to sleep because you've got to put your leg up or you've got your arms in a funny position. It knows what it means to be needed by dependents. So that dependent could be a child, could be somebody that you care for, could be your dogs, your cats, your horse, and so on. So when you think about approaching a fence, going for a hack, going to a competition, or even just mounting up, your brain isn't saying, I'm scared, or it's not about fear. It's saying, is this worth the potential consequence? So it's kind of weighing it all up. Now, it may not be weighing it up totally accurately, but that's what it's doing with the information it's been fed. So if you have, for instance, given it the information that a fall means, that life will be turned upside down, then it's acting upon that information. If you are giving it information that a fall means you're going to have a big bruise on your bum, and that's about all, then it will work off that information. So if you, in that moment when you feel the nerves, if you say to yourself, oh, just be brave, come on, we've always been able to do this, your nervous system will dig its heels in because of the prior information that you've given, which is generally unrelated to riding. It's all about your home life and other parts of your life and what you'll be able to do and not do. So the confidence didn't leave. It matured a bit, but it didn't leave. So you haven't lost confidence. You've lost that tolerance of risk due to your circumstances in life. So people who are young and carefree, then they don't have that quieter confidence that older people have. And the adult confidence very often is very selective and it's conditional. And rather than high level adrenaline rides, it wants trust. That's perhaps where the rider gets stuck, because they keep trying to ride like a younger self instead of telling their mind what the real situation is. So if the real situation is that if I fall off, there's nobody else to do my job, there's nobody else to look after the kids, there's nobody, and it goes on, then this is just one of those circumstances where riding has to alter. However, if for whatever reason you're financially independent, there would be other safety nets for your job, your kids, your dogs, your horses, and so on, then you can re-educate your mind towards those circumstances. And if you're constantly telling yourself, I should be able to do this, what's wrong with me? I used to do this all the time. Then you're also telling your nervous system that something is failing. So your nervous system kind of backs off. It becomes more critical because it's been told that it's failing. And so it doesn't calm down in those moments. It tends to shout a bit louder. So what are we going to do about all of this? So instead of kind of battling and arguing with your caution, listen to it and just start to ask realistic style questions. What are you actually worried about? Is it the ride? Is it something else? What's unsafe about this ride? And what would help you to trust this situation more? Would it be to get a new hat, get a body protector, get some safety stirrups? Would it be to do flat work instead of jumping? Would it be to be in the school rather than tearing across the country and going on the gallops? Sometimes these questions really help to reduce the anxiety. So what are you actually worried about? What is unsafe here? And what would help you trust this situation more? And once you do that, then you start to build up that confidence again, because it's not about bravery, because it's a different set of circumstances. So the other thing to think about is the pressure to be calm all the time. So sometimes riders think that is the ultimate, to be totally calm all the time, and that means you're a good rider. And so they kind of try to fudge it a little bit, and they try to feel calm when they're not. All of this is noticed by your nervous system once again. So it's far more stabling if, when you do feel nervous, you address the reason behind that, rather than, trying to think about the anxiety itself. Lots of people think about the feeling. Their mind is so shut down that they can't reasonably decide, what is it that's causing this? Is it a consequence? Then you need to be more in the present, because a consequence is future. And if you've put all your safety measures in place, then you can decide for yourself, is this something you still want to do? So the body is quite sensitive to things like suppressing nerves. We need to be able to express our emotions, because our emotions are messages from the mind. They are reacting on the information, as I said before, that we have given. So check the information that you've given to allow yourself to feel an emotion, and then consider the reason why. And is the reason why justifiable or not? However, we do sometimes have confidence wobbles, especially as an older rider. And we might be questioning ourselves that something is dangerous or something is uncomfortable. And the brain often treats these two things the same. Now, uncomfortable might mean physically uncomfortable, mentally because you're having to concentrate so much, or emotionally uncomfortable because you are feeling the nerves. But is it dangerous? Is it dangerous for you? Is it dangerous for your horse? It's a very different set of questions. Is it dangerous? or is it uncomfortable? Discomfort can be worked with, and obviously danger deserves respect, and it's probably something we really need to think about whether we really want to enter into that. So question which label your nervous system is putting onto this: discomfort or danger. Lastly, I want you to give yourself a little bit of compassion. There's no weakness in wanting to stay safe. There's no reason why you shouldn't want to feel cautious. It's not failing just because your riding's changed. And who knows, at some point when the kids have flown the nest, you've paid off your mortgage, maybe you'll be, going on your hunts, and maybe you'll be galloping across the fields again, jumping 6-foot fences. Who knows? Sometimes thinking of a time frame is also very useful, in that you can think it's not forever, it's just for now. Because that's the irony. Many riders actually ride better when they stop chasing fearlessness and wanting to feel exactly how they did when they were much younger, and they start to prioritize presence. They actually start to feel calmer and clearer. They get a better partnership with their horses, and they're kinder to themselves. So if your confidence these days feels different, don't panic. Your brain is just thinking about paying the mortgage. It's thinking about looking after dependents. It's thinking about recovery. It's just checking in on the consequences. And that's good. Your brain is working the way it should. So if we stop fighting it and start working with it, then the confidence doesn't disappear. It changes. And very often when it does, the version that we have when the confidence changes is far more sustainable. Thank you ever so much for listening. I hope that's proved interesting. I hope that's proved food for thought for all of us as we move along our own timelines. We're all aging. Then I hope it's really resonated with you. Take care, and I'll see you again really soon.